Hi there, Serial Trader here. So I'm just going to do a follow-up from the video earlier today. And of course, this will be after the close. So, okay, yesterday we had that doji star, okay, in the overbought condition. So that was certainly, a possible reversal signal, especially when things are so extended like this. And then we actually opened quite a bit lower and even traded lower initially. And then huge recovery throughout the day. Somewhat surprising, although, I mean, nothing's truly surprising in the market, I suppose. But and then we basically put in a bullish engulfing candlestick, engulfing yesterday's prior real body. And we actually made a slightly new intraday high at 52.50. Yesterday's intraday high was 52.48. So beat it by 2 cents and then backed off a little bit, towards the close, but still closed quite strong. So interesting. So as I said, I was tentatively labeling wave 3 complete at the top of this doji star. Well, that's no longer the case. We're still going up in the third wave, although I do still think it's very near completion. And I'm just looking at this, we'll get rid of these fib retracements for now since we're not quite coming down yet. Looking at this, like, let's pretend I never had a position in this, and this was just a fresh chart I was looking at. What would I see right now? Okay, I would see something that's had a nice breakout. It's been gapping up. Looks like a nice, strong, trending move. I would see that we're in the overbought condition. I would see that these MACD moving averages have large separation right now. I'd see that we're well above the T line. So I would look at this and say, okay, this looks like a nice stock, but I'm going to wait for it to have a pullback, have a cool off, and then at that point enter. So that's kind of the anti-FOMO checklist you go through. And you go back, well, historically, was it ever a good idea, on this daily chart? I'm not saying there aren't going to be intraday opportunities. Today there's intraday, day trading opportunities. But on this daily time frame, was it ever really a good idea to initiate a position when the RSI was in this overbought condition, for instance? Well, okay, here that was not a good idea. Here that was not a good idea. Here that was not a good idea. Although RSI did peak, over here and eventually diverged, and he peaked and still eventually came way down. But how about over here? Was that a good idea? Not initially. I mean, it pulled back and then eventually worked its way up, but it wasn't a good entry by any means. So what I'm getting at is the conditions for a good buy just aren't there. Now that's not to say sometimes crazy can go crazier, but it's not probable. Now, is it possible we just go straight up? Let's say to $60, almost uninterrupted from here. Is that possible? Of course, it's possible. Is it likely at this point, looking at the current, conditions of the market? No, it's not likely. In fact, what's more likely is that, we find a top soon, if we haven't already, and have some sort of, reasonable pullback, at least back down the T line, or perhaps down to the, around where the deal price is in the 48s there. Now, we did pull back to 47.77 intraday, but then obviously reverse off of that. So, and if you just go in closer, let's do the 15-minute price chart. So from yesterday's peak, we had a move down, then we had a lower high, okay, and then we actually made a lower low today. So it looked like the trend was changing because up until that point, you had nothing but higher highs and higher lows, right? So that was a notable change. But after we had a lower low, immediately just reversed off of there and started trending up again and actually made a new high, right? So these things aren't absolutes, but when you're in a big position and things are extended, and even on a shorter time frame, you start losing the higher low pattern, that's a sign to lighten up or get out. and that's exactly what I did yesterday. I don't regret it. I mean, your job as a trader is not to capture or try and capture 100% of a move. Your more realistic job is to try and capture a good portion of the move. Over here, your job would be to capture a good portion of the move. Let's say you waited till you. So over here, you waited till you made a higher low. So you had a high, higher low, and then waited till you had a higher high. So let's say you entered here, right? And then you didn't get out until you started breaking the higher low pattern. So let's say you got out here, something like that. So you'd still capture a good, I don't know, 70, 80% of the move, being cautious, not trying to call the bottom, not trying to call the top, just being cautious. And that's really all you can hope to do consistently as a trader. Now, will you sometimes, just by, as luck would have it, sell at the very top or near it, or buy at the very bottom or near it? Yeah, that's going to happen sometimes. But that's not a consistent thing you can expect to do. But you can expect to consistently identify good setups like this and capture large portions of a trend. And that's all I aim to do. So certainly no regrets selling. And just going to patiently wait for that pullback. There is one coming at some point. Even if it, let's say, just goes straight up to 60, and then it starts pulling back, and we pull back to, I don't know, 55 or 50. I can live with that. At least now I have an area of support. I can identify, a risk, something to risk against, like a specific price level. And I'm not just kind of naked long here, just hoping it keeps going up. So from my experience, it's always a good idea to sell when you want to, not when you have to. And what I mean by that is don't sell when it already starts tanking and you just, freak out and get out. Sell when things are very much still in your favor, and obviously you have a technical reason to sell. In this case, the overbought condition and the potential reversal candlestick pattern, which got proven wrong today. Obviously, that was the reason to sell yesterday. So if I went back and did it again, not knowing what was going to happen after, because you never know what's going to happen until it happens, I would repeat that behavior. So in that sense, I have no problems with the way I handled the trade. Okay, now that being said, just going to patiently wait for this one to find its top, have its nice pullback, and then reload again. That's the game plan. Well, that's probably good for now. Serial Trader signing off.